not even 24 hours with this bag out in the street, and I already burned it. I already burned this freaking bag. I already set this bag on fire. Like, how?
I want it all. Want a better life. I want the world to know my name. I want it all. Run it in the game. Boss, chick, flow, CEO. I want it all. Want a better life. I want the world to know my name. I want it all. Run it in the game. Boss, chick, flow, CEO. And a ring. See, I've been trying for so long.
What's up, Vecinas? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, stop what you're doing and go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that you can stay up to date with all of my videos. If you're a regular here, hey girl, hey, thank you so much for watching and thank you so much for your support. As always, don't mind the noise in the background. You know Rico loves to be extra every time a girl wants to film a video. So today's video is going to be a storytime video. I have never done a storytime video on my channel, but I just wanted to share this story because I was chatting about it with my Uber driver the other day. I was coming home and we were talking about like materialistic things and how glad we are that we kind of outgrew that materialistic stage in our life when you're young and you just like work to spend all your money buying materialistic things, whether it's like name brand bags or shoes or whatever. And now that we find more fulfillment in taking trips and exploring the world, etc., etc. And just talking about that reminded me of, you know, the time in my life, and I would say it was in my early 20s, when not that I was materialistic because I was vain, but I just like put a lot more emphasis into like name brand things or things that were expensive, whereas now I just find a lot of more joy and fulfillment in like taking a trip somewhere because I just love traveling. I love exposing myself to new cultures, and I find so much fulfillment when I go on trips. And I'm not talking about the trips that people take to stunt on the Instagram that they've traveled. I'm talking about those trips where you just go and you see the world and it's life-changing. And it's hard to explain if you've never taken a trip like that. And I think once you start traveling and you really take an eye-opening trip, you get the travel bug and you just want to see more of the world and experience more of the world and see what different cultures out there have to offer you and what they have to teach you. So anyways, let's talk about the one time that I burnt my $1,000 handbag. Okay, so when I was 21 years old, I was an executive assistant. And for those of you that don't know what an executive assistant is, it's basically an assistant to a person in an executive level position. And my boss at the time had his own venture capital firm and also an accounting firm. He managed an accounting firm and I was his executive assistant. So that means that basically like I was his right-hand person and I was in charge of like everything in the office, and eventually I kind of became his personal assistant too because I did so much for him as far as his business that he just trusted me with taking care of personal things for him. So I did that, and I say all that to say that I worked a lot because I was doing executive assistant work and personal assistant work. I just did so much work for this man, and I also was going to school full-time. And I had the blog running. I don't even know how I managed to do all this. And I guess I want to credit youthfulness because when you're 21, 22, I just feel like you have a different type of energy. Like you could run on 2 hours of sleep like nothing and you just like power through the day. So anyways, I worked really, really hard in this job. I mean, I used to go into work at 9 a.m. and there was days that I wouldn't leave till 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. I worked my ass off, and thank God my boss was very appreciative for all of the hard work that I put in. And I was also very grateful because I learned a lot from him in that job. And so for my birthday, for my 22nd birthday, I want to say, or my 23rd, I can't remember what year it was. I want to say it was my 23rd. Honestly, I can't remember. But for my birthday that year, my boss gave me a nice card, and in the card, he gave me $3,000 cash. And I was shocked because like obviously like no one had ever gifted me that amount of money in cash in my life. So like I was shooketh, and I remember when I was 18 years old in college, my freshman year of college, in my English writing class, we had to write like informative paper about a topic that we had done research on to read aloud in front of the class. And because I was going to school at that time for fashion merchandising and retail marketing, I chose to write my paper on Christian Louboutin because I really wanted to learn more about his success and how he created the red sole on the bottom of his infamous shoes. So that's what I wrote my paper on, and obviously like I got to learn more about him and the history behind the shoe and the brand. I did get an A+ on the paper, by the way. And basically, for those of you guys that don't know, Christian Louboutin, the reason why his shoes have a red bottom on them is because he was a shoe designer. He was making shoes for like the girls basically on Broadway, if you want to say, in France, like the showgirls over there. And he wanted the shoes just to pop and have like a different look. So his assistant or someone that was working with him was painting her nails with red polish, and he grabbed the polish from her and painted the bottom of the shoe red. And obviously the shoes like stood out, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of like where he got started. So I was just always fascinated by that. And I just love the actual history behind the shoes. And of course the shoes are like sexy AF. And I told myself that by the time that I was 25 years old, that I wanted to buy some Louboutins cash, and I wanted to buy a Chanel bag cash because I could afford it. At 23 or whatever year that birthday was, I know it was either 22 or 23, my boss gives me $3,000 in cash. So what do you think the first thing I'm gonna do? The first thing I wanted to do was buy my Louboutins and my Chanel bag, because I'm like, oh my God, like I cannot believe that I manifested what I told myself that I would do before 25. I manifested it at 23. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna be able to get my shoes and my handbag. Like, wow, this is everything. So I go to the Chanel store, and obviously the girl looks at me like, you know how they look at you, like, you're not supposed to be in here, what are you doing here, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I tell her like, I want a Chanel bag, like a classic, you know, the black quilted, you know, Chanel bag. And so I look at the price tag, and girl, that Chanel bag was like $3,200. Or probably like $3,500, and I was like, oof. So like, what's the next one? You know, a little under that. And the next one was like, I want to say it was like a wallet, and I was like, no, like I want my classic Chanel bag, and if I can't get that, like I don't want to settle for what I do not want. And not only that, like I also didn't want to spend the entire amount of money plus more just to get one item. So I sadly had to say no to my Chanel bag. And, you know, I took my butt to the Louboutin store. The shoes that I wanted were the Pigalle Plateaus. And these are the Pigalles. The plateau is because they have a platform here. And I don't even wear these shoes that much, by the way, because number one, they're high as hell. Like I wanted to be such a diva, and I didn't want to settle for like a short heel, because I'm like, if I'm gonna get Louboutins, like I'm not gonna get a kitten heel, I'm gonna get like the highest one, whatever. So I got this, and then it has a platform, so these are hella tall. So I bought these, and these were like $868, and they didn't have them at the store, so I had to like order them and pick them up another day. So boom, I got my Louboutins. I was so freaking happy. I mean, this was like a dream come true for me to be able to buy these shoes, just because like I said, like I wrote a paper about them, and I was just so connected to the history of the shoe, and it was like, wow, amazing, right? So next I have like, you know, I still have money left over, so I was like, I still want a really nice handbag. And I go to Saks, and I stroll to the handbags department, and the Alexander Wang bags caught my eye. And at that time, the Alexander Wang bag in the style Rocco was very popular. But I really liked the bag, but I just didn't want to get one in black or a basic color that everyone had, because I wanted to be a little bit different. And so with the money that I had left over, I ended up buying two Alexander Wang bags. One of them was this one. There's a gorgeous bag that, again, I hardly ever wear. I literally had to like dust it off. Even though I don't wear these items as much as I used to, I just can't part with them, because to me they just like signify a really special moment in my life. You know, and so this is one of the bags. And the other bag that I got was the Rocco bag. And now at the time, the Rocco bag was a really popular Alexander Wang bag, and everybody had it like in black or gray, like very basic color. So I wanted to get it in a color that not a lot of people had. Now this is what the Rocco bag looks like. Obviously mine looks a little like dingy now because I've had this bag for a hot minute, and it has the little studs on the bottom, so it does make it heavy. But yeah, this is the Rocco bag, and I got it like, it's almost like a green, like a mossy color, right? And so I get my bag and I'm all hyped because even after buying those bags, basically they came out to like almost $1,000 each, you know, after taxes and everything. And even after all of that, I still had a little bit of money left to spend. So I went to Bloomingdale's and I just bought makeup. So that's what I did with the $3,000 that my boss gave me for my birthday. Had my boss given me 3 G's now, I would not go buy no bags and no Louboutins. I would pay my student loans. I would use half of it to pay my student loans, and with the other half I would book a trip. So anyways, you know, I'm feeling all cute because I got my bags. And then later on that week, I wanted to wear my new bag out. So I take my Rocco bag out for a spin. And that day, I remember my boss went to go car shopping, and he wanted me to come with him because there was some paperwork. I don't remember all of the details, but I go to the dealership with him. And as he's filling out all the paperwork, I needed to use the restroom. And so I went to the bathroom, and you know, it was a really fancy dealership, like very, very fancy. I think it was like the Bentley dealership. I honestly don't remember. And so I excused myself to go to the bathroom as he was signing the paperwork. And you know, the bathroom was really nice and pretty, and there was like a counter there. So I rest my bag on top of the counter and I went to go use the bathroom. And as I'm peeing, like something smells like it's burning. Like it almost smells like hair burning or like leather burning, something burning, and it was like awful. And I'm like, what is that smell? And so I washed my hands, and I still smell the smell burning. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make sure to let them know that there's like a smell burning in the bathroom, and they should probably check it out. And so I wash my hands and I dry my hands, and when I go pick up my bag from the counter, I freaking realized, oh no, that where I placed my bag, it was like a counter, and then it had like a small divot in it. So this is the counter, and it had a small divot, and there was a candle in there, but it was like a really small tiny candle. And I put my freaking bag, my new almost $1,000 bag, on top of the freaking candle, and that's what burned. When I tell you, I just wanted to cry. Like, I just wanted to cry. Literally, not even 24 hours with this bag out in the street, and I already burned it. I already burned this freaking bag. I already set this bag on fire. Like, how? I was so upset. I just wanted to cry. And like, I go back to my boss, and I'm just like on the verge of tears, and he's like, what's wrong? Are you okay? Like, what happened? I was like, I burned my bag, and I'm like telling him what happened, and I was like just so embarrassed because it was like so clumsy, so stupid of me, and I just felt so dumb. And I'm like, I just got this bag, like I just feel so dumb. And I was like, this is why we can't have nice things, because we don't even know what to do with them. Like, this is so ridiculous. And I was even more mad at myself that I was like so mad about the fact that like I burned this really expensive bag. And then I'm like, why did I even buy this stupid bag in the first place? Like, so many thoughts going to my head. And thank God my boss was like super nice, and he's like, don't worry about it, like it's gonna be okay, like I will get you another bag if I have to, like you're gonna be fine, I'm sure, like we can figure it out. So what we ended up doing was, there's this place in New York called the Leather Spa. If you guys have any leather goods or any handbags or any like delicate items that just need like a little bit of attention and loving, take it to the Leather Spa. I actually took my Louboutins there, and they put a rubber sole on the bottom, so no matter how many times I wear this shoes, like that redness will never come off. And also the rubber sole gave it a little bit of a grip. So I love that my Louboutins still look like, even though I don't wear them as much as other people wear theirs, they still look kind of fresh because of the rubber sole. And I got that done at Leather Spa. So we went to the Leather Spa, and you know, I showed my handbag to the people there, and I was just so embarrassed. I don't know if you guys can see right here, there's kind of like a hump. That's where I burned my bag, and I burned it almost straight through. Thank God this leather is really, really thick, but it's like a big black hole right there. And so I was showing them the bag, and we were trying to figure out what they can do and what they ended up doing. And I love the leather spa. This is why like I can't recommend them enough if you guys like need to rescue any of your items. They took the actual tag that was inside the bag, and if you guys can see, you can see the outline of where the tag was, and they removed the tag and they put it right here on the bag. And thank God that, number one, the tag covered the hole right here. Number two, thank God that the burnt was like in a place where the tag could cover it and it doesn't look off centered, because imagine if it was here, obviously the bag would look really weird if the tag had been placed over here. So the burn was in like the perfect spot, and they managed to stitch it beautifully and just make the bag look like it was never burnt. Now obviously I'm so grateful that they were able to repair my bag, but at the same time I feel like this was punishment for, like, you know, just letting all of this get to me, because now I had to walk around with the fact that this tag says Alexander Wang, and it to me is almost like I was like showing everyone like, oh, I got this Alexander Wang bag. Like, I'm not a flashy person. I would never get a bag that screams like, hey, this bag is from so and so, right? Now the Chanel is a Chanel, you know, and it just has like the double C's on it, and that's it. But other than that, like, I personally would have never buy a bag that has like something monogrammed all over it, just because I don't know, I don't know, that's just not me. So I mean, you can hardly see it. I feel like this is a bag that, unless you know Alexander Wang, like, you'll know that this is an Alexander Wang bag Rocco. If you're not into bags like that, like, you wouldn't really know. So the fact that I had to walk around now with the freaking label that says Alexander Wang, even though you can hardly see it, like, I hated that. And I just hated the fact that it had this label on it, because I'm sure other people that had Wang bags were looking at me like, why the hell does her bag have like the label on the outside and mine doesn't? So I really hated that, but I almost feel like that was the universe trying to show me a lesson, like, these things don't matter. Like, look how easily you can ruin them. Look how, like, was it really worth it? You know, these things don't really matter. And I'm almost glad that it happened to me, because honestly, like I said, I think that was the last year that I really splurged on anything big. Since then, since I've been 23, I haven't really splurged on any big ticket items other than my traveling trips. But as far as like materialistic items, I can't tell you the last time that I bought a really big splurgy item. At 23 was the last time that I bought these two bags, that I bought my shoes. And honestly, I don't feel like I will ever spend that much money on bags or shoes until I get to a place that I'm really comfortable, and that it's something that I can do without feeling guilty. Because I just feel like if I were to purchase a big ticket item like that, I feel guilty about it. So I want to work my butt off again to get to a point where I can splurge on a big ticket item like this without feeling guilty. Because at 23 I was making really good money, and I had a lot less responsibility than I have now, which means like I just had a surplus of money. And you know, that money that my boss gave me for my birthday, I could afford to treat myself, because at the end of the day, like, I was still good. That was an extra surplus in my income that came in, and I said, you know what, I work hard, I deserve to treat myself. And I treated myself to these two bags and my pair of shoes and all this makeup. But I just wanted to share that story with you guys, because, you know, I feel like we all learn these lessons at different times in their life, and I'm just grateful that I learned that at an early age and that I got it out of my system. Because I know people that are in their 40s and in their 50s, and they still have that need to buy all these items to impress people that they don't even like, or just to say that they have name brand stuff. And at the end of the day, like, this shit doesn't matter. You can literally burn a hole in your bag 24 hours of you wearing it. And luckily for me, they were able to fix it. But imagine if they weren't able to fix it. I just spent almost $1,000 on a bag that I burned a hole through it. So I say all this to say that the only things that you can take with you are memories. And at the end of the day, like, this shit does not matter. All of these items, these shoes, these bags, these cars, these clothes, it doesn't matter, because the only thing that you can take with you is your memory. As far as these items, I can look back and say, oh wow, 23 years old, that was such like a great time in my life, because I saw what the power of hard work can get you. I saw how you can literally manifest whatever you want to, as long as like you believe that you're deserving, and as long as you work hard. And that's what happened. But when I look back and I think about the things that truly make me happy, it's always the memories of my trips, always the memories that I make with people that are near and dear to me. And those are two things that I will always cherish, my travels and spending quality time with people that I love. I'm just happy that I learned that at an early age. I really am. I'm so happy that I got it out of my system, like the constant shopping, the constant need to buy new things. I got it all out of my system, and I'm so grateful. So yeah, that was the one time that I burned a hole through my $1,000 bag. I hope that you guys enjoyed this story time video. If you want to hear more story times, because trust me, I got a lot of stories. Let me know, and maybe I'll try to upload a story time video like once a month or something, or whenever I can remember. But thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure that you subscribe so that you can stay up to date with all my videos, even the bonus ones, including story time. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.